Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Chef's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to be making some quick and easy biscuits, or cookies, depending on what you like to call them. And these are going to be flavoured with orange zest and orange juice. And there are several recipes on the internet for basically the same cookies as these. They just use perhaps slightly different volumes of ingredients and perhaps have slightly larger or smaller batches of cookies, but they're very easy to make. You simply put all the ingredients together into a soft dough, roll them out fairly thick, cut them out and bake them. So I'll go on to the ingredients, and for the ingredients I have 350 grams of plain flour. That's 2 cups and a third of a cup, based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup. I have 125 grams, which is 1 stick plus 1 tablespoon of softened butter. I have 100 grams, half a cup of caster sugar, 1 medium egg, which would be large in the USA. I have the zest from 1 orange, and I have 60 millilitres, a quarter of a cup of the juice from the same orange. I have 4 grams, which is 1 to 1 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder. And I'm also going to use the yolk from 1 egg with a teaspoon of milk to brush on the top of the cookies, but I don't need that quite yet. And to make the dough, we'll start by creaming the sugar and the butter together. Now you can do this all by hand, it won't take very long. But I'm going to do it with my trusty hand mixer. And with that cream together, I'm going to add in my egg, and I'm going to whisk that in until it's fully combined. So that's nicely mixed, and so what I'm going to do now is put in the orange zest and the orange juice, and I'm going to whisk those until everything's combined. And that's all combined now. So the final thing to do is to add in the flour and the baking powder. So before I do that, I'm going to put my baking powder into the flour, and I'm just going to give that a mix around. And then I'm going to add the flour. You can do this by hand by folding it in, but I'm going to add it in by hand. I'm going to add it in a little bit at a time and do it on a slow speed with my mixer. And with that mixed quite well together, I'm just going to scrape the excess off my whisks, And I'm going to finish that with a spatula. And as you can see, there's some dry bits at the bottom, so I need to use my hand to mix those in. And if this looks a bit cack-handed, it's because I'm right-handed, but I have a bit of a plaster on my finger. That's nice and pulled together now, and very soft, as you can see. I can just poke holes in it. So I like to chill my dough before I roll it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to leave that in the bowl and cover it with some plastic wrap, and I'll put it in the fridge to chill for 30 minutes. And while it's chilling, I'll preheat my oven to 180 Celsius, that's 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit. I'll line a couple of baking sheets with some parchment paper, get some more parchment paper ready to roll the dough between two sheets of that, and I'll also get my egg yolk and my milk ready to brush on the top. So I've taken the dough out of the fridge after 30 minutes. I'm just going to flatten it a little bit, and then, as you can see, I've put it on some parchment paper, and I'm going to put another piece on top, and I'm going to roll it out, and I want to leave them quite thick, and I'm going to get 12 cookies out of this, which I think will weigh about 60 grams each. I haven't measured it, but I think that's probably going to be what I'm going to get. So that's about thick enough, I think. It's a bit thinner here, so I'm actually going to just push that up a little bit. I want them to be of a fairly even thickness. And then I'm going to use an 8 centimetre, about a 3-inch cookie cutter, and I'm going to cut out some rounds. And place them onto a baking tray. I've got 12 cut out now, and they are about 60, some are a little bit less, some are a little bit more, grams each. And what I'm going to do is take my egg yolk, which has a teaspoon of milk in it, and I'm going to brush over the top of each one. And then I'm going to take a fork and I'm going to just score a pattern in the top, and you can do any pattern you want, basically. And I'm going to do the same with the other 6. I'm going to put them into the oven and I'm going to bake them for 25 minutes. Then I'll take them out of the oven and allow them to cool down. So once they've all cooled down, I'll come back and show you the result. I baked the orange biscuits or cookies for 25 minutes and took them out of the oven and allowed them to cool down. So this is what they look like. And they baked quite nicely. They have a nice sort of cakey texture inside, but they're nice and firm on the outside as well. So I'll have a taste of this one. They have a lovely subtle orange flavour. It's not overpowering, but it's definitely there. Not too sweet, and I prefer things not to be too sweet, I have to say. And as I said, they're sort of nice and crisp and firm on the outside, and they're softer inside, but they're not chewy soft like a lot of cookies tend to be. These are more what we would call a biscuit. So very easy to make, don't take very long at all, I don't think. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me a thumbs up below the video and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.